What is going on, Alpha Hunters? We are having a very steady climbing, wonderful hump day Wednesday. It is pretty chill. It's kind of just continuation from really kind of just yesterday afternoon. Kind of just bullish trend we had. Basically like a no gap on the market today, but just you can see the steady climb here on the market today, except for like the past 5-6 minutes. Nice little pop here. Really even like the past like 2 or 3. I was kind of watching it. So yeah, that's about all we got kind of going today. We are looking pretty good. I'm gonna be curious. Like we got to be getting really close to the all-time highs. So we're gonna check that here in a sec. But as far as like data that we got today, mortgage, we got some mortgage data stuff. Not really too important on that, but mortgage applications did drop 5%. Ooh, rough. We got the EIA data. We will have plenty of Fed talk going through the rest of the day. There's plenty of, just Fed people talking. And then we're going to get FOMC minutes this afternoon. And then don't forget, we're going to get CPI tomorrow, as well as the weekly jobs numbers. And then Friday, we will get the PPI numbers. So inflation data here over the next 2 days will be rather important. So there you go. It's kind of just the way the things are rolling today. Qs, a little bit different this morning. A little bit of a gap down, kind of a base out here in the first 30 minutes. Nice little run there to wrap out that first hour. A little bit of a pullback for 20 minutes. Nice little bounce here recently. Okay, IWM got some pretty strong moves here so far in the day. Currently up a little bit over 1/3%. Okay. DIA currently up about almost 0.5%, not quite. Nice little rip to start the day. All right, be curious to see if that's a double top right here coming in over the past, really forming here over the past like hour and a half or so. Not really. I wouldn't really expect it, but it's possible. RSP currently up about 1/3%. Nice little flat open there. Nice little pump. Pulled back. Trying to make its run back to the morning high. All right. RSP. It is trying to base. Looks like it is trying to get back up to the all-time highs. Man, I'll tell you what, though, that Monday candle, whew, that wick that just came down, just snagged all these lows really quick. That was kind of like, oh man, are we about to see the RSP drop off? But lucky enough, it was just such a quick sell-off there, but quickly bounced right back up through it and didn't close below those wicks. Bouncing pretty good. Looks all right. Weekly highs right now. There you go. DIA also looking pretty good. Getting back up to those Monday highs for the week high. Okay. Looking pretty good there on the DIA. IWM. I would say this doesn't really exactly look super bullish. If we can get over this high from Friday, October the 4th, yeah, I'd say maybe. I know we're kind of watching this downtrend that's we got coming through here, and we're probably getting really close to breaking through it. So it might be on a little bit of a run there coming up on the IWM. As far as the Qs are trying to make a run back up to the highs of September 26th, that huge gap up that we had that day. Looking pretty good. Probably just continues to run. Looking all right. And then the SPY. Yes, all-time highs. All-time highs. So that is, I'm going to see something. So the previous high back on September 26th at 574.71. Let me go back to intraday. Was that when we were 574? When you forget the number. 574.71. 574.71. So 71. Yeah, it was right here. It was right when we got this really strong move. We just kind of came through, hit all those stop losses. They all triggered, which then flushed it higher. So yeah, there we go. We are seeing the switch finally across quarters. That is something I was really going to be interested to see what would happen between the SPY and the Qs as we got the switch across quarters. And what I'm kind of talking about here is if we go to a 3-month chart here. Let me zoom in here. So we got a quarterly chart. And you can see the Qs are not at the all-time highs. They haven't taken out the highs of last quarter. SPY has, right? SPY is just ever so slightly taking out that high from last quarter because, well, we did have the highs back on September, and now we just breached above it. So we do have a little bit of a switch here across these quarters, and that'll be the largest, I guess, well, over a span of a certain amount of time, the largest kind of switch we've basically ever seen. So yeah, be curious to see how that plays out here going forward. We will find out. I'm just curious to see because we've never seen one that spans over that much time. As far as some other news, and this is probably might be a little bit more of a concerning thing, but if you take a look at the heat map, you see Alphabet's down. Well, if you take a look at headlines, the DOJ breakup remedy for Google just put the tech world on notice. I'm sure is what this says. Yeah, on notice. So there's other things kind of going on there, but you can see that Alphabet is trading down. Obviously, they've been trading down kind of all week. They got hit pretty good there on Monday. I'm not saying Google's going to get broken up, but it's not looking good. All right. When we first heard about this lawsuit and some of the case that they had in the DOJ kind of initially kind of presenting some of their stuff as to why they were doing the lawsuit, the antitrust lawsuit against Alphabet, Google really. It was they had a really good case, so not shocked that this is potentially going to happen, but this might continue to be an issue that weighs on tech. It's not like, I mean, if they get one win over Google, I mean, they might go after other companies as well in the tech world. So that is something to kind of keep an eye on, and something that could continue to drag tech lower and kind of just lag it behind, and continues to be an issue for the stock market in general. So VIX still steadily pulling back. Doesn't really seem like it wants to get crushed and come down to lower levels. Kind of seems like it's more of just resting, waiting to get pushed up by moving averages. So that's kind of the look that we were looking for earlier in the week, especially when we got that move on Monday. Just kind of like that steady pullback there Tuesday, Wednesday. So there you go. As far as the DX dollar index, man, it was trying to do something yesterday. Came back down, nice little doji. 2 back-to-back days, sideways dojis. It's basically just resting, right? It's just a resting type look, and there you go, popping a little bit higher there. So maybe it makes sense that we come up to this little high around 103.3. Where the long term's at? Yeah, it's about where the 100 moving average is, so kind of makes sense. That's probably how I would look to play it. We didn't really immediately roll over, so just got the rest and continuation. GLD, pretty good breakdown yesterday, down a little bit today. It tried to bounce by the end of the day, but yeah, not too concerned really. I just continue to be bullish on any kind of good dips, good dip buying spots. Maybe back down here around these highs, around 239 here on the GLD. Possibly all the way down here to this little consolidation that we had back here late August, early September, down around 233 or so. 10-year yield continuing to push higher. Tried to potentially set up a reversal yesterday at around this 4% level. Obviously, we're getting through it. It's still looking pretty good. It looks like we just kind of more have had a rest day yesterday, possibly set up continuation today. Continues to go higher, which, yeah, that's not going to be good for equities. And then 10 and 2 inversion, kind of just hanging out, not really doing anything. HYG, also just kind of resting here, not really doing a whole lot. So if it continues to go sideways, probably looking to take this back in that bearish direction, continue bearish. I would say it definitely would need to break that 50 EMA. But if, yeah, the more it goes sideways, if you get like a one-day pop up to the moving averages that are coming down, the 10 and 20, yeah, possibly looked at maybe even take that bearish. But yeah, I mean, I was really interested to see how I was going to interact at this level, and right now it's just kind of hanging out. It's not really doing anything, which means if it continues to hang out, it's probably just going to eventually just fall off, continue to move lower. LQD still just hanging on to this spot here between this little pivot level here, just kind of hanging out in this zone. Not really doing a whole lot. Kind of makes me think that it's kind of just resting as well. We tried to have a bounce day yesterday. Now it came back down, gap down. Not really doing a whole lot. Kind of makes me think it's going to eventually fall off as well. TLT sitting right at these long-term moving averages. Right at also these highs. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the bonds, even though they've moved bearish here over the past couple of weeks, not exactly screaming, "Hey, we want to be bullish on this pullback." Kind of seems more like it's resting before it continues lower. Maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, we're gonna get inflation data tomorrow, so yeah, that's kind of a tough one because the inflation data is really gonna move all these bonds, as yields were most likely going to move from the inflation data. So be mindful if you are going to take position in any of the bonds that they'll probably be moving tomorrow morning, which means they're going to gap. Okay, so if you're not really ready for the gap, or make sure you kind of have loose stop losses if you're going to trade these, because they might gap somewhat large. All right, as far as a sector rotation for the day, utilities underperforming. All right, utilities underperforming, communications underperforming, real estate also underperforming, energies and staples underperforming as well. Energies got absolutely shredded yesterday. Healthcare outperforming, discretionaries, materials, industrials all outperforming right there in the same kind of cluster, and then financials and tech at the leading the day higher. So it's kind of what you would expect. Pushing the market around. As far as intraday price action, so energies probably got hit with a pretty good gap down because they did have a pretty bearish day yesterday, so probably got hit with a continuation gap down, but people probably taking the opportunity to buy the dip. Energies intraday looking pretty solid. Financials doing pretty good. Materials, tech, industrials, healthcare all outperforming. Staples, discretionary is kind of in line with the market there. Real estate underperforming a little bit. We're seeing, bond yields move higher just a little bit. So it makes sense. Real estate's down a little bit as well. Communications and utilities at the lower end of the intraday trading day.